I just want to follow up on that question about electronic voting. So is it the thinking of the National Assembly then that at the end of that amendment to the Electoral Act with respect to electronic voting, INEC can indeed come up with whatever mechanism they want, but the thing is there will be full electronic voting, and will it apply for 2019 elections after the amendment?
No, I doubt it. Technologically, I doubt it whether it will be electronic voting would take place in this coming election, because it involves a lot of things. But I think that as we go forth in the subsequent years after 2019 elections, depending on how credible these things, I mean, the electronics, limited electronics that are being used now are, the Ninth Assembly may as well decide that, okay, we could go a full-blown electronic voting. But I must say that there are a lot of apprehensions about electronic voting, because people think that a central database could be manipulated. My own opinion has been that if you look at the fact that we use smart cards, ATMs and the rest of them, and the rate and the percentage of the abuse is not that high, we could as well transit to that form where votes could actually count. But you see, there are a lot of challenges that are coming up in the electoral system now. You look at the pictures and images that were shown about kids, virtually kids, voting in Kano. Electronics cannot stop that. We are talking about problems arising, people fighting at a polling unit. Electronic systems cannot stop those things. So, you see, when you talk about the electoral system, it has a lot of things involved. The attitude of the people involved, the attitude of the electoral officers, the attitude of the politicians, and so forth. I told a friend of mine the other day when we were discussing 1 or 2 years ago, these amendments, you see, Nigerians, what we are trying to do is we are making laws to make up for our deficiency in character. If you go to advanced countries, UK, Germany, and the rest of them, they are still using manual voting. And they still have good results that are generally acceptable. And the reason why we are introducing electronic systems in card readers, we want to do electronic transmission, is that we are trying to make up for the fact that our own character is not allowing us to do the things that are right.
This has been a very commendable amendment. Several of them have been. But one of the questions that has arisen is, when you talk about kind of automating this process in many ways and introducing technology, are there any concerns on the part of the legislature? Has INEC voiced any concerns potentially about the threat of intrusions, cyber intrusions, the influence of elections through technological means? Is that a concern at all?
Yeah, that has been a concern. As a matter of fact, when the issue came out at one of the retreats, at some of the side talks, some legislators didn't want it at all, because they felt that the intrusion, the hacking, and anything could happen. So those are concerns that are ongoing. But like I did say, you see, the opinion of a legislator is his opinion until the House goes into voting and a vote takes place, then that becomes the resolution of the House.
Yeah, but there are also concerns, really. I mean, much as some of these amendments are commendable, but then the one that seems to have the most implication, at least for the populace, is this particular reordering. So, for instance, the voting populace will have to come out 3 times on maybe 3 consecutive Saturdays, as it were. Have you looked at the implication on voter turnout? Do you think that we could have a situation where we could have voter fatigue? Yeah.
Well, that is always a possibility, but it could actually reverse. It could actually result in higher turnout in the subsequent election. People could be dissatisfied with the results of the initial election, which is a possibility. That could motivate them to come out more in the... So it can work either ways. But my own concern, really, is that going forward, we need to agree among ourselves as a people to do something about our attitude. Our attitude. Why do I say this? Public trust is our individual trust, is our collective trust. Now you have people break rules because nobody is watching in offices. Somebody will go and take office papers or assets to use for self. People use office time to ping and do all kinds of things. And then you come to election. It's the same attitude that now grows into killing somebody or stealing money, or the same attitude that people who go and hijack results. So we need to do something on our attitude.
Sadly,
because if we did, the elections that take place in some European countries and a lot of the states in the United States, elections are manual.
Sadly, we cannot legislate on attitude, but here the Chamberlain has one more question for you.
Well, yes, Honorable, you know, you mentioned the pictures, images of kids voting in some elections. Now, that particular question came up in the last elections. It's come up now, and there may be a concern for 2019 elections. So are you or your members, anybody, considering bringing that up on the floor of the House as a matter of importance as well?
Well, I think that is an issue that is not just that. There are even rumors that are going around, stories are going around that underage kids are being registered in several places. That INEC, unfortunately, these are issues that we have not raised officially, but since you ask, I'll raise them. I.e. that registration boxes are being taken to areas other than the designated areas to schools, and kids are registering. Now, those type of things will create tension in the polity. And that is what you have to do. That's what good governance is all about, that you have rules that are enforced. So I think that we need to do something about it. I think that we need to do something as a legislature about it. We need to do something as media people about it to expose wherever these things are taking place. And we need to do something as a government about it, because if you abuse and compromise the voters' register, you have compromised the whole electoral process.
Well, Honorable, we have to thank you most kindly for coming on Sunrise Daily. Honorable Remande Shawulu is a member ad hoc committee on constitutional amendments and also member committee on INEC and political party affairs. Sunrise Daily continues in just a moment. Please stay with us.